Hello and welcome back. In today's episode 7.1, we're going to look at creating our first enemy. This will be the troll. We'll look at his presets, where to spawn him, how the presets link up to the NPC configuration, and how his combat configuration work, and much more. So here we are inside Unity, looking at a model of our troll using the prefab troll at this transform. And as you can see, we've placed him in the scene temporarily just to see what he would look like. And there he is. Looking at the troll from a slightly different angle. Let's take a closer look at his face, his weapon, and in the distance, the scene of Wretched Island. Now let's disable him, since we're not going to put him into the scene in this manner, but instead we're going to spawn him. So again, under our spawners game object, under troll, we create a transform similar to what we've done so far. We attach the NPC spawner script. We set it to endless mode. Notice you can have limited or manual mode as well, depending on your requirement. More on that later. We will use this exact position, not a general area, but within an area that is 20 high. We'll only spawn one of him, and when the player is more than 150 units away, he will be despawned. We are pointing to the Troll NPC setup to spawn him, and he's got a 100% chance of spawning every time when the game starts. Now let's take a look at his configuration. So just as a reminder, if your model doesn't have a prefab, you can take a model FBX file, drag it into the scene, drag it into a prefab folder that we create under assets, and then use that to set up your character for an enemy. In our case, our troll prefab has been saved here under assets RPG fantasy pack, character troll prefab called troll. This is where we will place him. So we find a good spot to spawn him. And a good spot in this case, make sure it's on the nav mesh. If you don't know what a nav mesh is, we will create some basic videos about that as well, or you can just search the Unity documentation. But essentially, we want a troll in an open area near where the player will likely pass by, so that they can interact and attack each other. So the workflow summary is: you find your model on the asset store, you create your own on Blender or other 3D tool, you drag and place it in the scene to see what it might look like, you set up a temporary animator, which is optional, and you let him idle in place. We didn't even do this, we just put the static model to see what it would look like. Remember to disable this and remove it when you're ready to set up an RPG builder, however. So then we're going to start by creating a preset, assigning the preset into the NPC configuration, and configure the remaining details. So looking at the presets, which is found under AI presets for the troll, this is where we assign the prefab. His scale is 1:1:1, meaning normal full size. Something I haven't pointed out before, but this minus 0.1 makes sure that he spawns just slightly with his feet into the ground and not floating above the ground. His nameplate is 2 units above the y-axis and up to 15 units away. His override controller is called Troll Override, which we created and assigned his animations. We assign his avatar from his FBX, and if you don't have one, you can create one from there. The nav mesh agent radius 0.5 unit and height is 2, and the rotation speed. He will not try to avoid obstacle, which makes it more performant. You will have a simple capsule collider, and the interaction distance trigger is 3 units away. So now let's look at his base info next. This base info again gets an avatar icon, which you can get from the asset store. You can make your own, take a screenshot of a head of your model. Next up is the AI settings for our troll under AI NPC. We will again use the AI logic template. Notice how this can be shared across most of your AIs. Now this time we will create a troll phase and we'll assign our NPC preset. We'll look at the phase closer later. If you're not yet familiar with phases, each NPC can enter different phases depending on the context of the action needed for their behavior. For example, in the troll's case, he can become progressively more aggressive in behavior as a player level up. He can flee, he can attack with more damage, and so on. We will also set up his behavior chance, his actions template, and related behaviors below. So under AI phases for troll, we will not give any special spawn animation since nobody will see him actually spawn, and therefore no need for an animation here. He will immediately transition to a potential behavior of troll behavior, and then his actions template is set to phase 1 troll phase actions. On completion, it will play the buff animation. Under AI behaviors troll, we will see that every 3 seconds it will check if he needs to change phases or not. This is the minimum and maximum target distance. The look at target speed, how fast he will rotate to look at the player, and how often he will check it, 0.5 seconds. The strafe parameter triggers when he will strafe and play strafing animation if he has one. The combat parameter in combat state will help us enter combat. And yes, he can be aggressive towards his enemies, in this case the player. His default state will be roaming, just patrolling, walking around, and he will use the roaming template. The pet state and pet template is assigned, but is not relevant and has no net effect on the troll. The chase state controls when and how he will chase the player using the chase template, and whether he will circle the target in idle. Continuing on, combat state and walk backward state is assigned here, and whether or not he will flee. Our troll is a bit dumb, so he will never flee. He will either kill the player or fight to the death. He can get at any point any of these abilities. There's just one assigned. Let's take a closer look at his attack configuration. Under combat, abilities, troll attack. We normally in this series don't use ranks, it's optional. When his attack is activated, it will be casted for 0.5 seconds. It will move and cast the attack at the same time. It will face the cursor if it was a top-down camera on start and on end. And attack duration will be 1 second. We will use type cone for the ability mechanic, as we can see under ability type. This is the range and angle, so think of a cone with a range of 2 units at an angle of 60, like a pizza slice, that he will be able to cause damage. He will be able to do anything between 1 and 3 hits onto the player. He can hit other enemies. He can hit neutral NPCs. He can hit the player, of course. and this is just to snap to target on use to be more realistic and immersive. There's also cooldown settings that you can experiment with. But something that's interesting is different NPCs can share the same effect. For example, a troll and a bear can share the same effect. This makes it easy to set up an effect across many NPCs without having to define the same kind of logic for each one individually. Just a word of caution, if you make a mistake, it will affect all of them. So sometimes it is good to copy them, duplicate them, edit them, and assign it just for that specific NPC. Continuing on with the effects applied. As you can see, indeed we are currently using the bear attack effect to cause damage to the player. But it has nothing really to do with the bear, it's just how much damage and what the parameters are for the damage. On the target in this case would be the player, usually, but could be another enemy of the troll. We don't use visual effects. The animation that we're going to use here is on start, we're going to use a template melee attack 1-2 sequence. And this is the speed, 0.7, so play it a little bit slower because the troll doesn't move that fast. So we will tag enable the modify speed at 0.7. We will also use a sound borrowed from the bear attack to make a shouting, growling kind of sound. No delay, do it immediately. Here's a closer look at the templates animations melee attack 1-2 sequence. The type of it is trigger and it's a sequence, meaning it will play melee attack animation 1 followed shortly by melee attack animation 2. So looking in a little bit deeper how this works, under AI preset we can see that there's a troll override with a troll avatar, and here we can see attack 1 and attack 2, which is assigned to the controller NPC animator troll, there and there, and we use the troll override to assign the animations just for the troll. You can see where it's stored here, the folder is indicated in the red box here. Under functions, all we really need is that he must be combat enabled. He can be targeted. We want his nameplate to show up. Under combat, we've already seen how to do the abilities, effects, stat, factions and combos a little bit. So let's pause here and do a little walkthrough of them together in RPG Builder. Okay, so inside RPG Builder, under AI NPCs, we are focusing on the troll. We're looking at his functions, combat. We will see that the troll is part of the beast faction. You can set up different factions for different groups of enemies. They can be friendly or not with each other. The level will scale with the player, meaning as the player gets better, they will get stronger. We will reset the phase after combat to reset things, and we will instantly heal after combat. No aggro used here. Respawn is minimum 60 seconds, maximum 120 seconds, and within 5 seconds the corpse will be removed. When you kill the troll, you will not get anything, you will just be dead. In other cases, when we kill a boar, for example, we will get some loot, but no loot for killing the troll. Except you will be able to get lava weapons if you have killed the troll, but it won't be dropped in a special prefab. So the reward for killing the troll is essentially upgrading your weapons to lava weapons. This is his health statistic. It will increase every level as the player progresses by 5, but start with 400, and it can override the maximum because we want to increase it. So looking under economy, loot tables, lava weapons, we will see that the lava axe has a chance of 10% to be rewarded for any situation that is tied or linked to this item, this lava axe loot item. For example, killing the troll. So looking under economy, items, lava axe, we can see that it's a type weapon of weapon type axe. You can use it in any hand or the slot. Killing the troll might have a 10% chance of giving you this one. However, you can use 2. The attack speed parameters are set to 1.25 seconds, minimum damage and maximum damage. This is the statistics that's affected when using this weapon. Health 30, life steal 10, chance to apply burn stat 10 because it's a lava weapon. Random stat is not used. The visual is the axe evolving 432 prefab, and the weapon transform values is based on a template for the one-handed axe weapon transform. More on that later in more advanced videos, but this is how you assign where the weapon will appear on the player. You cannot use it until it's equipped or until you have the ability to equip weapons. You can resell this axe for 50 gold coins, but you can only have one of them in each inventory slot. Well, that's it in this episode for the troll. Next time we should be able to look at the lava mushroom interactable and how it's configured. Thanks for watching.